Hello YouTube, electronic mechanic here, working on a John Deere 212. It's sitting over there. It's an old 70s, late 70s, early 80s model. It's been sitting in my shed for probably about 6 years. I haven't used it. I had gotten a new mower and this one kind of just sat. Well, I needed some room in the shed, so I figured I'd sell it. Well, found this in the motor. Had to pull the motor out of the chassis to be able to pull the blower housing off. And if any of you guys work on small engines, you know these woes of mice. I absolutely despise mice and squirrels because they've done some damage to my vehicles over the years. They like to build nests and they like to chew on things. And I don't know, I guess mice and squirrels have a purpose in this world. I never really researched that or looked into it, but if they don't have a real purpose, kind of like wasps, wasps don't really pollinate anything. They're just butthead bees, and you know, they are just pretty much a nuisance, just like mice. But I don't really know if there's a ecological, or I don't even know the word to use, reason that mice exist. But sometimes I wish they didn't exist because of this, because they just ruin everything. But we're going to restore this thing, get it running. It actually was running with this nest in there, but it was not charging. I think the stator wires got chewed behind there, so that's why we're tearing this apart. It used to charge, and it's not charging at the moment. So, and you can't leave that nest in there because the engine will overheat and you'll seize the engine up. So here we go, cleaning out the mess. So here we go. Let's see if there's any critters in here, or if they vacated. I think they vacated. Man, it smells bad. You know what? I think this packing material is from, I had a 78 Ford F-150 sitting next to my shed for a good long while. And I think this is the padding out of the seat in that truck. Because they were in the truck as well, and the padding in that truck was all over the place. So I kind of think that's where this came from, which is a damn shame. But I since sold that truck, and so we don't have to worry about that. Man, I bet they're behind the flywheel. I'm gonna have to pull the flywheel, I think, just to know. Well, I think these wires are chewed. Anyway, man, the urine smell from these mice is outrageously awful. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the rest of these covers off, pull the carb, take these covers off, and take this thing outside and give it a good pressure wash. Got to get all this nastiness out of these fins, because the flywheel is a big fan, and the blower shield that goes on here sucks air in through and blows it past all these fins and out the other side where the muffler is. So it's basically a big fan that cools the engine. So if this is all packed full of crap and can't breathe, the engine's not going to cool properly, so it's going to overheat, and you're going to seize up your piston in the cylinder wall. And that's a big no-no. You don't want that, because this is a good running motor. Like I said, I had it in the shed. I went in there, put a battery in it, hit the key, sprayed some brake clean in the carb, and she kicked off. But it wasn't charging. And I knew there was a mouse nest in it, so I didn't run it very long. It was just enough to get it over here into the shop. But yeah, so this is what we're gonna be doing. I think I'm gonna pull this flywheel next. Let's see if the old trusty Milwaukee brushless M18 impact with a number 3 Phillips bit, see if it'll pull these bolts out. I have faith, but sometimes. Uh-oh. Man, can't ask for more than that. I wish they would design these engines with smaller holes so the mice can't get in them, or put screens on them or something. Like, it makes me want to wrap the whole motor in like metal window screen. 15/16. Yep, gotta love an old American-made tractor motor. Got the old Milwaukee 1/2-inch impact. It ought to pull this right off. Yeah, baby. Can't ask for more than that. Oh man, she's rusty back there. I don't know what you guys like to use, but I like to use PB Blaster, and then if that don't work, then I get the expensive stuff out. But this is what I use. Because it's cheap. It's like $3 a can or something, $3.50 a can, and it does work for most things. I don't know about everybody else, but you got to keep bolts around, all shapes and sizes. I have a whole wall. That's it. It just don't want to go in because it's rusty. So we're gonna put a little bit of Tiger P in there. Spread out our little Jimmy Jam here. Hopefully this will work. We might need longer bolts. This is bullshit. Yeah, it'll work. It'll do, a donkey. Oh yeah. So you just want to snug these down so they're about even. And then once they're snug, you want to put your impact on here. It's a 22, so the puller's friggin' metric. Can't see that. All right, let's see what happens here. There she is. See, you can see it just popped off. That's a heavy old girl. Whew. This is a Stator. It's a the flywheel has magnets on it, and as the flywheel spins, it puts out AC voltage into these two wires. I'm not quite sure what the voltage output is, but it's AC. And then this device here that's mounted in the blower housing is your rectifier regulator, and those two wires there hook to the outer two pins, and then your center is your battery positive. And this takes AC voltage, converts it to DC voltage, and then regulates it to charge the battery. Nope, wrong bit. I might need my impact tool for this, but I'm going to use it. I have this impact tool made by Lysol, however you guys want to say it. But it's one of these tools that you hit with a hammer, and it'll break bolts loose that are tight. And it just so happens to have Phillips and flathead and everything. You put them in this adapter, and then this goes right on there. And then to use this, you basically put it on here. It's a little easier if the motor doesn't move. And you turn it the opposite way you want the bolt to turn. So I want the bolt to turn this way. So I want to turn this the opposite direction, like I was tightening the bolt, and then hold in on it and give it a good whack. And it's supposed to break the bolt loose. A little difficult with this motor moving like this. Might have to get a little table, put it on the table. I think that might have worked. Put a little more Tiger P on there. And then go with the old trusty Milwaukee. See if it, oh yeah. That tool busted them right loose. That thing right there has gotten me out of more jams. They're not that expensive. I think I paid like $40 for that at a CarQuest Auto Parts. The one in my town I use all the time. But yeah, that thing has saved my ass many times. Alright. Now this should just come off. It is. There we go. Just need a little love tap, that's all. Now we're going to pull this wire harness through. I don't think they chewed it. I don't think it's rubbed through, so I don't really know what the problem is here. Maybe my regulator went bad. Who knows? But you can test the resistance of this to see if it's open. It should read a certain resistance. I'll have to look it up. It's going to be close to a dead short, I believe. If it's like a motor winding, it might read close to a short, but that's one way to test this. But I'm going to clean it up and give it a good cleaning. But I want to get this plate off just to see what's going on behind it. Those look like 5/8. Yeah, they're 9/16. That's it. Let's see if the little Milwaukee will do it. A little 1/2 inch. Ooh, like butter. Tell you what. I know not everybody can afford much power tools, but they really are nice. I just buy them little by little. I don't, you know, I'm not rich. I don't get paid for any of this. My YouTube channel is not even big enough for me to get monetized yet. So, with that being said, like and subscribe. I was one of the first people to be on YouTube back when they would monetize anybody's channel, no matter how many subscribers. And it was really nice because, you know, you got a little bit of kickback. About every 3 months, I'd get like $100. So it kind of gave me a kick to want to, you know, make more videos. Oh man, gonna have to get a new gasket. They don't build motors like this anymore. Look at this. That's a roller bearing. That is a freaking roller bearing. Now they use stupid sleeve bearings, and they just don't last. Just put a little bit of a tilt on her with this strap, so that anything I scrape off here is going to fall out of the motor, away from it, and not into it. I'll tell you what, these motors get nasty being on a lawn tractor. They seep a little bit of oil. You know, they all leak a little bit of oil from every little orifice. And then the dust, the dirt, the grass. If you guys do any kind of engine work at all, whether it's cars, mowers, whatever, get yourself one of these razor scrapers. And it's got a long handle, and you can put extra blades in the handle. This one's made by Cowhawk. I have no idea. It was my dad's. When my dad passed away in 2013, I got all his tools and his truck and pretty much anything else he had. It was all left to me. So I try to put all of his tools to good work. I still have all of them. And the cool thing is me and him both have the same initials. We both have the same initials. We don't have the same first names, but both names start with an S. My name is Scott. His name was Steve. And our middle names both start with a W. So, and of course, our last name is the same. But which is nice because all his tools, he worked at in a foundry and had a bunch of tools there. So all the tools that he had taken to work, he engraved his initials in, which in return, now that I have them, have the same initials and they match me. So it's all in one piece. This tore a little bit here, but that ain't no big deal. I can lay it flat and be able to trace it on some new gasket material. Alright. And then I'll clean this bearing out in the parts cleaner real good, wash it out good, and then I'll actually pack it with a little bit of grease before putting it back together, and that way it's lubed with grease. I think, oh, that one just falls off. That's nice. Look at this thing. I don't know, somebody modified this at one point. As you can see, it's been welded and bent, and I honestly have no idea if this is original, this motor. And this top plate and this side plate won't come off without pulling the carb off. So I think we might do that next. Probably showed this before, this little cat paw. This is made by Great Neck, cheap. I got it at the hardware store. But this thing will help you drastically. You can get it up under there, pop things right off. Alright, that's off. I always keep tons of little straps on hand. Whether it's bungee cords, ratchet straps, these pull kind of straps. This carburetor, so I'm gonna take this bolt here and this bolt here and the fuel line off. The fuel line is not even clamped, so it'll come right off. But it's like a flathead or half inch. Now that we have the right size here, pop this off. These carbs can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but if you get them loose enough, they're slotted on the sides. If you have a little flathead, you can slide it in here and kind of undo this bolt with a flathead, so you don't have to keep messing around with a wrench. Although this doesn't seem to be going much smoother. But you have to back out this side, you have to back out the other side, and if you don't do them evenly, you can get it jammed up. But if you get one side out enough that you can get the bolt on one side all the way out like that, anyway, you can just kind of slide it off and leave the one bolt in. You can see they're slotted. But I'm gonna take it out anyway because that plate's got to come off. Most of these bolts on this thing are 1/2 inch and 7/16 that hold these covers on. Should be able to. There we go. It'll come off. But you can see the shit that's packed in here. It just gets packed in everywhere. This is what you do when the covers rattle and drive you crazy while you're trying to mow. You run and grab a self-tapper and run it in there to keep you from having to listen to that the whole time you're mowing. Don't nobody want to listen to that while you're mowing the whole time. Make you want to freaking kill yourself. All right, let's pull that spark plug out. Ooh, she burns clean. Pretty clean burn motor. All right, now you can see that I slung it from the 4 motor mount holes, which may or may not bite me in the ass later. These 2 7/16 bolts right there. The one's got the ground wire on it, and that was the big nut I just took off there. And then that'll come off, and then I'll be able to get that top cover off. You like my homemade dipstick? Yeah. Voila! That's as far as I'm going to tear this down, because I can get to all the sides of the engine cylinder head now. But I'm going to wheel it out to the driveway and pressure wash it here probably tomorrow. Alright. It's just like a little valve. A little water spigot, and just open her up, and out comes the oil. Where I'm from, we say Earl. Out comes the Earl. Alright, here we are, YouTube, back at it. I made myself a new gasket out of some gasket material. Test fit it here. I think it'll be okay. Flip it. There we go. I think it'll work. Alright. I reinstalled the cover. Forgot to turn the camera on. It is what it is. It just slides on with the gasket and you tighten it for it. Not much to it. Get this thing put back together. Tested it with an ohm meter and it reads a short, which it's coil wire. I'm guessing that's what it should read. Yeah, it goes this way. Just like that. Here's the shop dog. Say hi to everybody. That's the shop dog. That's Molly, or as we call her, Bird. Yep, she'll just lay down and go to sleep. Alright. Put the bolts back in. Make sure it gets seated all the way down. Also make sure that the inside of the flywheel is clean and free of debris. And then line up here. Line up your Woodruff key and slide it on. Pretty easy. Put your washer on, and then your nut. Need your 15/16, wherever it went. Sounds good enough for me. Make sure you put that cover on first. That one went like there. And then this one slides in over here. Take the trusty old blower housing. It goes under these covers. There's 2 bolts that go on the bottom here of the blower housing. I don't like to tighten the bolts until you get like all of them in. Unless you can move that housing up and down. So it hooks in a hole here. Kind of pick up on this and make sure it's flush. And then you can tighten up your bell housing bolts. Well, blower housing bolts. Make sure you get them good and tight so they don't vibrate out. The bit extenders are very weak. Alright, I can put this thing back on. In far enough to miss, but out far enough to allow me to hook this back behind here. It's kind of like putting headers on, which a damn governor would stay up out of the way. There we go. Swing your gasket up here. Air duct in here. You see how the bolt fits back in this tight area here. So you kind of have to pull the carburetor away, get the bolt in, and then put the bolt into the gasket, and then swing it all up into the hole. And get the bolt started, because you can't just pull the bolts all the way out because the carburetor's in the way. Because it's a horrible design. What I found is probably the easiest to take a flathead screwdriver and stick it in here. And just kind of run these in with this. And this side's even worse because you have the fuel outlet. You can go ahead and hook this back up. Just pops on. Grab your 1/2-inch wrench off the floor because you dropped it, and just snug them up. And that's really all there is to it. Unwind this wire here. This is for your points. Run it up behind here. Alright, here we go. I just got these new motor mounts. I got the two on this side were broken, the other two are they're alright. Got these two riveted in place. New fuel filter put on. I believe I'm ready to set the motor back in here. she is, boy. Let me tell you. Now she slides right on in place. Oh yeah. Alright, now we're going to put in all motor mount bolts. But we're going to put the PTO on first. Because it's easier to do that when the engine still moves. I'm sure this shop could have been 100 by 100 and I'd still be out of space. Put a little bit of anti-seize on the shaft here. Make sure you got your drive belt accessible. Put your Woodruff key in. And then this is your drive pulley for your wheels. Kind of feed it around the belt. Here for your belt. Now you're gonna want to slide the motor back a little bit. Or turn it. Over. Make sure you tuck the belt under and above. There's these little metal nipples on the side of the motor here. You want this top part of the belt to be under this one, but then the bottom part of the belt to be in between the two. And that keeps it from slapping around. So that's on. Now you can muscle around your deck belt here. Your deck drive belt. Just kind of feed it down there. There's two tensioner pulleys. There's two pulleys. This pulley is a flat pulley, so the back of the belt's going to ride on it, and then this pulley is the V, so you want the front side to ride on it. You'll have to look at yours before you take it apart. But there are little metal belt guides that you need to make sure that you have your belt under and above, because if you don't, it'll tear your belt up. Now, this motor has an electric clutch. I don't know if yours does, but this one does. You want to line it up with the Woodruff key, and there's a pin. This upper pin that the belt rides on goes in this hole here, and that keeps this from spinning. So. This PTU's got two pulleys. You want it on the inner one. The outer one is for a front attachment. Get your wire up out of the way here. There she went. I just want to line it up on your peg there. That's how it goes. And then pull your belt down. tank. Figure let's hook it up now, so it's done and over with. I guess you might as well. I'll put a clamp on that before I put it on. So let's finish tightening up these motor mount bolts. So I don't think the bolts are long enough to catch this nut. So I want to raise the nut to the surface of the socket. So I'm going to take a little bit of paper towel, or this is actually a baby wipe. Baby wipes work pretty well to clean your hands. So I'm going to put it in there just so it holds the nut up at the, up at the surface of it. So when I stick it under there, the little bit of threads that stick down aren't enough to catch it. Kind of like that. You have to use a combination of, what you can get done here, because it's not what you can figure out. 'That's what I used. I used a combination of an extension and a deep well. I'm going to tighten them pretty tight. They are what hold the motor. Five-eighths will work. Just run her down. And this one is 3/4. That's got a grease joint and a slick joint, so you can make that one pretty tight. I think at this point it's just hooking up the dumb shit, the wiring, put the coil back on. Alright, we're going to wrap up this rebuild. The motor's back in, the hood's on, as you can tell. Everything's hooked back up. Got the coil in there, carburetor's on, air cleaner. Throttle cable. Got us a newish battery in here. I think we're ready to see if the old girl's ready to go. Now, after I first got it put back together, I mowed the grass with it and it ran fine. It's been sitting in this spot for a week in the backyard here. So I'm gonna make sure she's in neutral. I'll throttle her up, pull the choke out. Now, this mower had a bad key switch, so it's been rigged up with a Fast and Furious nitrous switch and a push button. So, here we go. We're gonna see what she does. See, it's charging. Everything's working the way it should. That's another one from Electronic Mechanics. Thanks for watching, guys.